Hello and welcome, my name is Andreas, I'm a watchmaking student and horology enthusiast, and I'll be your host on this upcoming YouTube channel featuring watch reviews, technical insights and much more. You are watching the Digital Escapement. For my first video, I thought we'd focus on a spectacular piece that is both a value proposition and an affordable alternative to a whole plethora of high horology sports watches. We're talking about the Sugess Tourbillon Master reference SU8000SW, a genuine flying tourbillon with undoubtedly not entirely original styling cues, but nonetheless a compelling, complete package which gives you a ton of watch for your money. If you want a sporty tourbillon for everyday wear, but don't have an obscene amount of money to spend on one, then this watch might be right up your alley. Starting off with the dimensions of the watch, it measures 41mm in partly polished and brushed stainless steel and an exquisitely 10mm in thickness, which makes this piece a comfortable wear, partly thanks to the slender manual wind manufacturer caliber inside. From lug to lug, the watch measures a reasonable 49mm. The lug width is rather odd at 21mm. However, it didn't keep me from finding a fitting strap for it, as availability in the size is becoming more and more commonplace. The case itself is nicely constructed, with a very light horizontal brushed finish on the mid-case and the sides of the lugs. The lug hoods, as well as the space in between the lugs and the bezel, are all polished. The stepped bezel holds a curved sapphire crystal without AR coating. Sapphire is also found on the reverse side of the watch, as an exhibition case back gives way to the mechanically finished seagull movement. More on that later. It's worth mentioning that with 50 meters of water resistance and a push-pull crown, this watch is not one to dive with. The first thing that comes to mind when glancing at this silvery white dial is that it's, well, not very original, which I'd say isn't an entirely bad thing. It's of course highly influenced by the Alange und Söhne 1815 dials and even mirrors the script placement found on the German brand's entry-level model. The lance hands are thermally blued, not painted or galvanized, which is extremely impressive at this price range. The keen-eyed among you probably already noticed that the cannon pinion at center is slightly above the imaginary 9-3 line on the watch. However, this isn't uncommon for tourbillon movements, and it's not taking away from the symmetry of the dial in my opinion. The script on the dial is kept relatively clean and doesn't distract from the main attraction. That being of course the large aperture at 6 o'clock, framing the 1-minute tourbillon. The window even has a small polished outer ring with a seconds track to properly use the tourbillon as a running seconds indicator. Now this is where things get interesting. The movement used in the watch is called the ST8000, made by Seagull, and features a genuine Blancpain style flying tourbillon which revolves around itself once per minute and is visually stunning. Flying tourbillon meaning it doesn't have an upper bridge to obstruct vision to the movement. The blued screws beautifully complement the hands, and even though it's probably just for show, the screw balance wheel looks amazing when the mechanism is at a standstill. The tourbillon cage reminds of the ones Blancpain uses, and to be fair, looks pretty good even under magnification. The cage comes to a sharp end, which holds a very not real diamond, but this little feature is a question of taste, as is the whole watch I presume, but I really like it, and it adds just enough bling to make the idea work. The 19-jewel movement beats at a stately 21,600 revolutions per hour and has a sufficient power reserve of 42 hours. I should mention that this isn't the latest tourbillon caliber from Seagull, as they have a better finished and longer lasting ST8230 in the catalogue now. featuring a different cage assembly, a right angle lever, as well as a better finished movement. Turning the watch around, we are greeted by a rather barren looking caseback, featuring an all-in-one tie bridge for the regulating organ. We can also see the ratchet, crown and 2 intermediate wheels, and the click, with complementary blued screws, all part of the winding mechanism. The plethora of drillings here are to accommodate different complications, such as an automatic winding bridge or power reserve indicator mechanism. It's safe to say that the best side of this watch is on the front though, even though the Cote de Genève and blued screws aren't half bad either. Now let's talk a bit about the wearability and this awesome strap combination. While the original blue leather and black alligator leather strap weren't bad at all, and I enjoyed wearing them over the colder months in a formal setting, when summer approached, I went ahead and bought a 22mm white Barton silicone lead strap. Even though the dial had a silvery shine to it, the snow white strap works well with it and makes for a sporty look. Thanks to the slimmer case and the manageable weight, the piece wears easy and light on the wrist. Also, wearing a tourbillon with shorts and t-shirts is a rather cool feeling. The first positive is the value. I bought this watch last autumn for €375, approximately $440 US, and combined with the strap, which was right around $20, the whole package was just as much as a decent side corsage. A real tourbillon at this price range is a must-have for any horology enthusiast in my opinion, who doesn't happen to have tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars at their disposal. Simply being able to own such an intricate mechanism, watching it work and understanding its principles firsthand is worth every penny in my opinion. Furthermore, the wearability and classy look make for a great all-around wear. I must also mention that this watch is very audible. Think of old pocket watch movements and how loud they tick. You get that kind of feeling with this watch, which is rather nice. Lastly, let's review the negatives. The only real negative this watch has is its questionable long-term reliability. Yes, Sugess mechanical movements have gotten better over the time, and they make some amazing simple watches for cheap, which can be serviced. But a tourbillon is on the other side of the scale. It is entirely possible that it won't run for longer than a few years, and then it's not sure if Sugess will take it back for repair or replacement. Here I understand the popular argument against cheap and intricate Chinese movements. On the other hand, there have been many reports of these watches running for more than 5 or even 10 years with no problem at all. And if I get that sort of mileage out of this watch, I'll be very pleased. Also, the limited water resistance makes this a high and dry sporty watch instead of a full-fledged all-purpose sports watch. So in conclusion, should you buy this watch? All in all, it's up to you to decide if the relatively negligible risk of owning one of these is worth it or not. But they are fun pieces for sure, and with a little strap change, they can be solid watches for everyday usage. So this is the end of this first little review of my Sugess Tourbillon. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up or even a subscription to the channel. Please let me know down below in the comments what you think of this watch, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.